What social media did to your thinking process. Your brain doesn't work the way it used to. Something fundamental changed, and you probably can't pinpoint exactly when. But if you're honest with yourself, you think differently than you did 5 years ago. Slower, shallower, more reactive, less focused. This isn't aging. This is rewiring. Every platform you use has invested billions into understanding how your brain processes information. Not to help you think better, to hijack those processes for profit. They've turned your attention into a commodity and your thoughts into predictable patterns that can be exploited, manipulated, and monetized. The brilliant part? You volunteered for this. You downloaded the apps. You agreed to terms you never read. You handed over your mental real estate to corporations whose entire business model depends on keeping you distracted, anxious, and coming back for more. And they've succeeded beyond their wildest projections. Research from Princeton University found that social media platforms use the same psychological techniques as slot machines to create compulsive behavior patterns. The variable reward schedule, the near-miss effect, the illusion of control. You're not weak-willed. You're up against weaponized behavioral psychology designed by the smartest engineers in the world. Think about how you consume information now versus 10 years ago. Back then, you'd read entire articles, follow complex arguments, sit with difficult ideas. Now, you scan headlines, read the first paragraph, form opinions from tweets. Your brain has been trained for speed over depth, reaction over reflection. The algorithm doesn't care if you understand what you're reading. It cares if you engage. And the fastest path to engagement is triggering emotion. Outrage works. Fear works. Tribal loyalty works. Nuanced thinking? That's slow. That's boring. That doesn't generate clicks. So the algorithm buries it. Every time you open an app, you're entering an environment specifically designed to bypass your critical thinking. The endless scroll removes natural stopping points. The autoplay eliminates choice. The recommendation engine decides what you see next before you even finish what you're watching. You're not browsing. You're being guided through a predetermined path. And here's what makes this particularly insidious. The algorithm learns from you faster than you learn from it. Every hesitation, every click, every second of watch time trains it to understand your psychological triggers better. It's mapping your mind in real time, finding the exact combination of stimuli that keeps you locked in. You think you're choosing what to watch, what to read, what to believe, but you're choosing from options the algorithm pre-selected based on what keeps you on the platform longest. It's the illusion of free will in a carefully constructed cage. Stanford research shows that personalized content feeds can shift political opinions by 23% in just 1 week of exposure. Not through debate, not through evidence, through strategic repetition and emotional reinforcement. Your opinions aren't being challenged, they're being cultivated. Awareness. When did you last have a completely original thought that didn't come from something you saw online? Drop a comment and hit like if this made you uncomfortable. How tech companies profit from your mental decline. There's a reason Silicon Valley executives limit their own kids' screen time while building products designed to maximize yours. They know something you don't. Or rather, they know something you refuse to accept. These platforms aren't neutral tools. They're attention extraction machines. And your cognitive function is collateral damage. The business model is simple. Keep you scrolling. Keep you clicking. Keep you emotionally activated. The longer you stay, the more ads you see, the more data they collect, the more money they make. Your mental clarity, your ability to focus, your emotional stability, none of that factors into the equation. You're not the customer. You're the product being optimized. Every feature you think exists for your benefit actually exists for theirs. The like button isn't there to help you express appreciation. It's there to create a feedback loop that keeps you checking back to see who validated you. The retweet isn't about sharing ideas. It's about triggering social comparison and status anxiety that keeps you engaged. Harvard Business School research revealed that social media companies employ over 300 behavioral scientists whose sole job is making their platforms more addictive. They study dopamine release patterns. They test color schemes that trigger urgency. They or B test notification timing to find the exact moments you're most vulnerable to distraction. You're in a psychological arms race you didn't know you entered, and you're losing. Because while you're trying to use these platforms casually, they're using military-grade persuasion tactics refined through billions of user interactions. Every time you think you'll just check quickly, you're up against algorithms that have analyzed millions of people with that exact same intention. The mental viruses being implanted aren't accidental byproducts. They're features. Anxiety keeps you checking for updates. FOMO keeps you scrolling through stories. Comparison keeps you posting to prove your life is worthwhile. Tribalism keeps you arguing in comments. Each emotion is a lever that drives engagement metrics, and engagement metrics drive stock prices. So there's billions of dollars invested in making you more anxious, more divided, more reactive, more addicted. The worse you feel, the more you use. The more you use, the more valuable the company becomes. Your declining mental health is literally funding their quarterly growth. Look at your screen time stats. Really look at them. Those aren't hours you chose to spend. Those are hours that were extracted from you through psychological manipulation. Time you could have spent learning, creating, connecting with real humans, building something meaningful. Gone. Converted into shareholder value. But here's what they don't want you to realize. The moment you understand the game, you can stop playing. The algorithm only works if you don't recognize it's running. Once you see the puppet strings, they lose their power. You start noticing the manipulation tactics, the emotional triggers, the designed addictiveness. You start asking dangerous questions. Why am I opening this app? What am I actually looking for? How do I feel after using this? And when you start getting honest answers to those questions, their entire business model starts crumbling. Because it only works on people who aren't paying attention. Ignition. How much money do you think tech companies have made from your attention this year? Comment your estimate and smash that like button. Why you can't remember what you read anymore? Something happened to your memory. You read an article, finish it, and 5 minutes later can't recall the main points. You watch a video, it ends, and you immediately forget what it was about. You consume more information than ever before, but retain almost nothing. This isn't normal aging. This is algorithmic damage. Your brain wasn't designed for the way algorithms feed you information. It evolved to process experiences sequentially, to build context, to connect ideas over time. Algorithms don't care about that. They care about keeping you moving to the next piece of content before you have time to actually process the current one. The average person now consumes the equivalent of 174 newspapers worth of information per day. But consumption isn't comprehension. You're skimming surfaces, not diving deep. Your brain is in constant input mode with zero processing time. Information comes in, gets tagged as seen, then gets immediately overwritten by the next thing. Neuroscientists at UCLA discovered that constant task switching and information overload actually shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory formation and emotional regulation. You're not just forgetting what you read, you're physically damaging the hardware that allows you to remember anything at all. Think about the last book you finished. Not scrolled through, actually finished. Can you remember it? Now think about the last 50 videos you watched. Can you name 3? The algorithm trained you to consume without digesting, to move without stopping, to input without processing. Your data hoarding in your brain with no filing system. And it gets worse. Because you're not just losing the ability to remember information, you're losing the ability to think with information. Real thinking requires holding multiple concepts in working memory simultaneously, examining them from different angles, finding connections. But your working memory is now occupied with checking notifications, wondering what you're missing, planning your next post. This is why you read the same paragraph 3 times without understanding it. Why you zone out mid-conversation. Why you walk into rooms and forget why you're there. Your attention has been fractured into so many pieces that you can't hold focus long enough for information to transfer from short-term to long-term memory. The algorithm profits from your amnesia. If you remembered that yesterday's trending outrage was completely forgotten today, you'd realize how meaningless it all is. If you remembered that last week's must-see content is now irrelevant, You'd question why you're spending so much time on it. But you don't remember, so you keep consuming. Your phone has become an external hard drive for your brain. You don't remember anything because you don't have to. It's all saved somewhere. Except it's not. You're not building a library. You're creating a landfill. Thousands of saved articles you'll never read. Bookmarked videos you'll never watch. Screenshots of things you've already forgotten. Why you saved. Research from the University of Texas at Austin shows that even having your phone visible on the table reduces cognitive capacity even when it's turned off. The mere presence of that device drains your brain's resources because part of your mind is always monitoring it, waiting for it to demand your attention. You've outsourced your memory to machines that don't actually remember for you. They just create the illusion that you don't need to remember. And in doing so, you're losing one of the most fundamentally human capabilities. The ability to learn from experience, to build wisdom over time, to connect past and present into coherent understanding or reflection. What's one thing you read this week that actually stuck with you? Comment below and drop a like if you had to think hard to answer that. How to reclaim your brain from algorithmic control. Breaking free from algorithmic control isn't about going completely offline. It's about going back online on your terms, not theirs. It's about using technology as a tool instead of being used by it as a resource. And it requires treating this like the serious psychological intervention it is. Start with a digital detox, but not the Instagram-friendly kind where you announce you're taking a break and come back 3 days later. A real one. Pick 1 week. Delete every social app from your phone. Not disable. Delete. The friction of having to reinstall creates space for conscious choice instead of automatic behavior. Yale University researchers found that taking a 30-day break from social media leads to measurable improvements in attention span, memory retention, and emotional regulation that persist even after returning to platforms. But only if you return differently. Only if you implement boundaries that prevent reinfection. Next, rebuild your information diet from scratch. Unfollow everyone. Start with a blank slate. Then consciously choose who and what deserves access to your attention. Ask yourself, does this account make me think or just react? Does it add value or just noise? Does it challenge me or just confirm what I already believe? Be ruthless. Your mental health depends on it. Turn off all notifications except direct messages from actual humans you care about. Everything else can wait. The world will not end if you don't see that like notification within 3 seconds. Your brain will thank you for removing those constant interruptions that fragment your focus and drain your cognitive resources. Set specific time windows for consuming content. 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night. That's it. Use website blockers if you need to. Treat it like medication. Precise dosage at precise times, not whenever the craving hits. Because if you're reactive to the urge, the algorithm is still in control. Replace scrolling with literally anything else. Read physical books where the algorithm can't track your eye movements. Have conversations without phones on the table. Take walks without podcasts filling every moment. Sit in boredom until your brain remembers how to generate its own entertainment. Boredom is not the enemy. It's the birthplace of creativity. Most importantly, become the curator of your own mind. Every piece of information you consume is programming. Every video you watch is instruction. Every post you read is suggestion. Stop letting algorithms decide what gets installed in your consciousness. You wouldn't let a stranger into your home to rearrange your furniture. Why are you letting corporations rearrange your thoughts? The algorithm bets you won't do any of this. It bets you'll read this, feel momentarily motivated, then scroll back into the feed, and forget everything within an hour. It bets your addiction is stronger than your awareness. It bets you'll choose comfort over freedom. Prove it wrong. Liberation. What's the first step you're taking today to reclaim your attention? Comment it, hit that like button, subscribe for more deprogramming content, and share this with someone who needs to wake up before it's too late. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes regarding technology use and cognitive health. It does not replace professional mental health support. If you're experiencing serious psychological distress, please consult qualified healthcare professionals.